I have a really important question for you today. Are you dating a narcissist? Well, you might have to ask yourself, what is a narcissist? So let's dive a little deeper. A narcissist is a person who has excessive interest or admiration of themselves, or a disorder in which a person has an inflated sense of self-importance. Symptoms include grandiosity and disregard for other people's feelings. So today we're going to be talking about the 13 signs you're dating a narcissist and how to deal with them. My name is Kristin and I'm from KristinCoaching.com. I am a dating and relationship coach, and my channel is all about giving you relationship advice and relationship skills so you can have the happiest and healthiest relationship possible. I've been getting emails all the time from clients who are in relationships with a narcissist or who are dating a narcissist, and they want to know how to navigate this because it's really hard to be in a relationship with a narcissistic person. So I'm going to be talking about the 13 signs of a narcissist, and stay tuned because I'm going to be answering very specific questions from you guys about what it's like to be in a relationship with a narcissist, and this could relate to you. So please stay tuned to the end of this video to watch that. And I'm going to be talking about how to deal with a narcissist and how to take care of yourself if you are in a relationship with a narcissistic person. So the first sign that you're dating a narcissist is that this person is super charming. And what I mean by charming is usually they give you so many compliments when you first meet them. They try to sweep you off of your feet, make you feel like you are the center of attention and the best person that they have ever met. Oftentimes, when they're super charming, this person can dress really well and really focus on their appearance, so they look really, really nice. That's usually the first indicator that you could be dating a narcissist. Now, obviously, just because a person is super charming doesn't mean by itself that they are a narcissist. But if this sign relates to all of the other 12 signs that I'm about to talk about, then that could definitely be an indicator that you are dating a narcissist. The second sign you're dating a narcissist is that your image is actually very important to the narcissistic person. And this is because the better you look, the better they look. They like to feed off of making themselves look good as much as possible. So the more you can look good, the more you present yourself in a great way, the way you dress up really nice, you do your hair, you present as just amazing as they are, that feeds off of their ego and makes them look really good. So they're actually really focused on what you look like. Now, the third sign you're dating a narcissist is that they love to be the center of attention. The focus always has to be on them because this feeds their ego. Oftentimes they have a really low sense of self-esteem internally. You wouldn't be able to see that, right? Because they present as really confident and strong, and they put themselves out there. But so in order to make themselves feel as good as possible, because their self-esteem is actually pretty small, right? They want to be in the spotlight and they want to be the center of attention, and they want people asking them questions and focusing on them because that makes them feel good. So being the center of attention is another big indicator of this type of person. The fourth sign you're dating a narcissist is that this person tends to hog the conversation. A narcissist doesn't like that spotlight being off of them, right? Like we talked about in the last sign. So they tend to really hog the conversation because they want that center of attention to keep on themselves. So if you are talking about yourself, for example, that narcissist will often interrupt you and have that conversation turn about them, right? Because they want people to see them and talk to them and have them, and they feel good as a result. The fifth sign that you are dating a narcissist is that they don't show empathy. And what I mean by that is a narcissistic person really has a hard time seeing things from other people's perspectives because they're so focused internally on themselves and their ego and their self-esteem, right? They're so overly focused on themselves that they can't really put themselves in anybody else's shoes. So they lack empathy, and you are definitely going to be noticing that. Sign number 6. They like to feed off of compliments. right? Because the more that they feel that they are an amazing person and they have all these amazing qualities, that's going to boost their ego and their self-esteem, right? So they love compliments. They feed off of that. They need compliments from you. If you don't give them compliments, then that person is going to be in a bad mood and maybe grumpy, and you're definitely going to notice that. So that compliments inflates them so much, and it gives them that high that they need. Sign number 7, and this one I really, really like. This is actually one of my favorites because it's the most interesting that I find to be of a narcissistic person, is that they are able to dish out criticism to others. They actually enjoy picking on other people because it makes them feel good, but they are hyper and overly sensitive to criticism of themselves. So if you're criticizing them or you're telling them what mistakes that they're making, they get super defensive and they cannot take that feedback, that negative feedback, so to speak. They only want compliments. They only want positivity. So they love to dish out the criticism to other people and the picking on other people, but when you give that back, watch out. They might make a comment, for example, that, your hair doesn't look very good today, or maybe they don't like the outfit or the shoes you're wearing. But if you make any type of a comment about their shoes, that maybe they're not your favorite, or you think that they would look better in another pair, they're not going to be able to handle that feedback or that criticism, and they're going to get really defensive about it. Sign number 8 is that they don't have a lot of long-lasting friends. And this is because oftentimes in a relationship with a narcissist, it's a very one-sided relationship, right? Because they're taking the energy from other people, because they're trying to boost that ego and that inflated sense of self, and they're unable to give that back to people. I mean, at times they do, they'll give people compliments, but it'll only be because it fuels their own sense of self-esteem and self-worth when they do that. It makes themselves feel good. But oftentimes, in order to have a long-lasting relationship with somebody, right, that's a reciprocal relationship, and you have to give a lot in relationships in order to get back. And a narcissist just really isn't able to do that. So if you are dating a narcissist and you see that they don't have a lot of long-lasting friends throughout their life, or if a lot of friendships get to this point where they explode and it ends really, really poorly, and you know a lot of stories like that, usually that could be a sign you're dating a narcissist. And the 9th one is that a narcissist often blames you for mistakes. This type of person really cannot take personal responsibility for things they do wrong, right? Because their ego is so fragile. And if they think that they're less than, or they didn't do a good job with something, they just can't handle that. That just explodes their whole internal world and their sense of self, right? So they often are going to blame you for things that go wrong, blame you for mistakes. And you're going to be thinking, what are you talking about? I didn't do anything. You're going to think that a lot if you're dating a narcissist, because they're going to put all of the responsibility and all the blame on you and not be able to take any of that or own any of that. And it's going to make you feel like, what is going on, So this is a really common sign that you're dating a narcissist, when they blame you for things. Sign number 10. Arguing is virtually impossible when you're with a narcissistic person, because they're not going to be able to see things from your perspective. Kind of like I mentioned in the other signs, right? They are only focused on themselves and how they feel and what they think. So when you're having an argument, it's going to actually feel one-sided. You're going to be open to seeing things from their perspective, but when they're talking and they have the spotlight, you're going to be able to tell that they are not able to get all of you, that they just don't understand. Maybe they don't even care. That's really common. So you're not going to be able to argue, because they are going to want to win the conversation no matter what. So you're going to be noticing really clearly that you're in a relationship with a narcissistic person during arguments, because it's going to feel very unfair and it's going to feel very one-sided. Sign number 11, and this is one of the most important signs you could be dating a narcissist. This is a term called gaslighting. I'm not sure if you have or haven't heard of it, but it's actually super common being in a relationship with a narcissistic person. So what gaslighting is where they try to destroy perception. They try to change your perception. So they'll make comments like, what, you're crazy, you don't know what you're talking about. That never happened. Gaslighting is a way to get you to question reality, to where after they make the comment that you're crazy, you don't know what you're talking about, what do you mean, you're actually questioning that. You're like, wait, did that actually happen? I think that, my significant other said this, but he or she is saying I didn't, and that never happened. So you're actually like, oh my God, what's going on? And you feel confused and you feel crazy. So that's what gaslighting is when they kind of distort reality and change your perception of what actually happened. They do this on purpose. And this is actually a really manipulative behavior to make it so they're right and that their perspective is correct. And so you question yourself. Sign number 12. A narcissistic person is going to throw a temper tantrum when you do something wrong, right? Because we talked about how when you're in a relationship with a narcissistic person, that you need to be as good as possible and look as good as possible because that fuels themselves, right? So when you make a mistake and you do something wrong, they can't handle that because that reflects negatively onto that narcissistic person, right? So they're going to oftentimes throw temper tantrums when you make a mistake and you do something wrong. They don't have a lot of tolerance for people that are imperfect and less than. Although we all have imperfections and we all have flaws, right? But they don't see that. They don't want to see that. They want you to be and look just as perfect as they are. So they're not going to be able to handle it when you make mistakes. And last but not least, sign number 13 that you're dating a narcissist. If you even threaten to end the relationship, if you're deciding for yourself, you know what, this is all just too much for me. I can't handle this. I think that we need to break up or maybe take some space in the relationship. That narcissistic person is going to fly off the handle. They cannot take rejection. They cannot handle anybody saying no to them. They cannot handle anybody looking at them in a negative light. So if you are even mentioning the idea of breaking up, they are going to throw a fit. They'll break up with you. They can do that. That's their choice, right? But if you decide you want to do that or you're thinking of contemplating that, it's going to break loose. Things are going to hit the fan, so to speak. So that's definitely a huge sign that they do not want anybody rejecting them or saying no. And they're going to be flying off the handle and you're going to be feeling that wrath if that happens. So we just went over the 13 signs you're dating a narcissist. And I want to be clear that the person that you're dating doesn't need to necessarily display all of these 13 signs. But if you are in this type of a relationship, you're going to see at least the majority of these. I would say half or more. If the person you're dating doesn't have at least 6 out of these 13 signs that I mentioned, then most likely they might not be a narcissist, but could have narcissistic traits, which is very possible. But I would say if they have more than 6 signs, then that's definitely an indicator that they could have narcissism. So if you're experiencing any of these signs in your relationship, please comment below. Let me know what they are. I want to hear from you. And if you have any questions about your relationship, leave a comment and I'll get back to you like I can. But let's get into the next portion of this video, which is I'm actually really excited to talk about because it's the question and answer portion. I'm going to be reading 3 questions that I've gotten from clients about their narcissistic relationship. And I really think this is important for you to listen to these answers that I'm going to be giving because they could be relating to you. I think oftentimes when people are in a relationship with a narcissist or they're dating a narcissist, they have, a lot of times you guys will have common questions because you're going to be experiencing a lot of similar relationship dynamics. So let's talk about these 3 questions and I'm going to be giving answers to you today. And I think they're all going to be really helpful for you. So question number 1, how can I get him to change and not be so self-absorbed? My answer for you is to identify the behaviors that you really like your significant other to do. So it's really giving that positive feedback for them. I really like it when you ask me about how my day was. It makes me feel really good. That way they get the feedback of positive behaviors that you really enjoy. And instead of just saying, oh, you're so self-absorbed or you're so narcissistic, they're not going to take that negative feedback well, right? Because we talked about that in one of the signs. So praising them for the good behaviors, that's actually going to make them feel good, right? That's going to boost their ego, and they're going to want to do more of that. So really pointing out the things that they do well, they'll keep doing that well to make themselves feel good. They're not necessarily going to do it to make you feel good, but they will do it to make themselves feel good. So I think giving that positive feedback to them of things that you really enjoy that they do, that'll help reinforce them to do more of that behavior. So let's dive into the second question. And that question is, at what point is it too late and should I walk away from my relationship? I would say when your relationship gets to a point where you're experiencing physical abuse and emotional abuse from your significant other, that is definitely a deal breaker and time to walk away. And I say this to all of my clients. If you are ever in a relationship where you are physically unsafe, there is no way that your relationship can be healthy. There is no way that your relationship is functional. And you need to take care of yourself and you need to make sure that you are safe. So if there was any physical abuse going on, that is an absolute deal breaker and you should be walking away today. When it comes to the emotional abuse, that's also another huge red flag, okay? And this is a really bad thing that you don't want to be experiencing in your relationship, because with emotional abuse, that's going to tear your self-esteem down and that's going to tear your self-worth down over time. So if this is happening in your relationship, that's not okay. It's not a healthy dynamic to be in, and that needs to stop as well. And if your significant other is not going to stop being emotionally abusive to you, then it's time to leave. Also, when it comes to questioning whether or not you're going to be walking away from your relationship, I would also say that if your other half is lying and being deceitful over time and doing this without any remorse, well then again, you're not going to have that trust in your relationship, right? And if your significant other is going to be lying to you and not caring about it, you're not going to be having a healthy dynamic back and forth. You're not going to be having a healthy relationship. It's just not going to work out. So if your narcissistic, boyfriend or husband or partner, girlfriend, whoever they are, if they're going to keep lying to you, that's definitely a no-no and something that you should consider walking away from. So the third and final question. My boyfriend blames me for things I don't even do, just flies off of the handle in a rage, and it seems like it comes from out of nowhere. I don't even get the chance to say my piece because no matter what, I'm wrong and he's right. Could this be a sign of a narcissist? My answer for you is yes, this can be a sign of a narcissist. It doesn't necessarily mean he is or she is, but like I say, when it comes to somebody who is narcissistic, right, it is going to be a one-sided situation and a one-sided argument. So oftentimes that person is not going to be able to accept personal responsibility for their behavior and they're going to blame you. And oftentimes they do have rage and anger and fly off the handle if you're not perfect or things aren't perfect in the situation. So it could be a sign, but again, you want to look through the signs 1 through 13 that we mentioned earlier and see if your other half also has other signs as well. But definitely this type of a situation could be an indicator. So I think it's going to be really helpful for you to understand how the person that you're dating became a narcissist in the first place. Because oftentimes we wonder, how can somebody have narcissistic personality disorder or be a narcissist? People always question, am I a narcissist? Can I just be one day? So I want to talk to you about where it comes from. A narcissistic person is not something that you're born with. It's something that is a result of your environment. And it usually actually starts when you're really, really young. And oftentimes your parent or your caregiver does a combination of overindulging certain things and underindulging certain things. So what I mean by that is usually when somebody is a narcissist as an adult, when they're younger, their parent, their caregiver, the person who they look up to and takes care of them, is usually overly focused on kind of materialistic things for their child. They praise them so well when they do a great job on a test. They praise them when they win the home run for baseball. They praise them for the achievements and the accomplishments that they do. But at that same time, that parent might not be there emotionally for their needs as much growing up. So if that child is having a really hard day and is crying and needs a lot of, attention and affection, maybe that parent or their caregiver isn't really giving that to them. Maybe the caregiver doesn't have the ability to give that to them. They don't know how. So oftentimes a caregiver can be kind of cold and shut off more emotionally, but be able to praise, till the cows come home when it comes to the accomplishments and the achievements. So usually that type of a combination with the over and the underindulging can create somebody to be a narcissist, because as they grow up, right, they're more focused on those materialistic items. They have that low self-esteem and low self-image and that fragile ego. So they need to fuel themselves by getting a lot of praise, right, and a lot of recognition, the things that they got when they were a child. And they're unable to give you that emotional piece in the relationship that you're in now, because they didn't get that emotional piece from their caregiver when they were little. I get a lot of comments about, maybe if I just love them more and I just show them that unconditional love and positive regard, maybe eventually they'll change their behavior. Maybe they'll change their ways. If I just put in more effort, if I just do more, then they're not going to be doing certain things, right? They're not going to be flying off the handle, criticizing me, being mean to me at certain times, picking on me. I want to tell you that that is a fantasy, okay? You can do everything you can do on your end in the relationship and put in all of the effort you can, but a narcissistic person isn't going to be able to take on the personal responsibility that things that are wrong in your relationship are because of them. They're not going to see that. They can't do that. They don't have that ability. So you're going to be able, and you're going to be recognizing that you're putting in all of this effort and doing everything you can to make them happy, but you're not going to be able to get that back from them. So hoping that they're just going to change and thinking that the more you do, the more it's going to be impacting their behavior, it's not true. So I don't want you to be disappointed, and that's why I really wanted to create this segment for you today, to let you know that it's very, very difficult to change the behaviors of a narcissistic person. So it's not to say that a narcissistic person can't change, but it's pretty rare. Usually when somebody with narcissism does change, it's because their whole world is falling apart around them. They're realizing that the behaviors and the actions and the choices that they're making are just damaging and destroying their life, whether it's, multiple relationships that aren't working. Maybe their children hate them. Maybe, they can't hold down a job or have really bad relationships with coworkers. External factors are not going well for them. And so sometimes a person with narcissism can see that and actually want to make changes to alter their behavior and how they are in the world. But that is a rarity when that happens. It's hard for a narcissistic person to see that, but it does happen. But I don't want to give you false hope, because it's very, very rare. So, and when that's the case, I want to talk about the things that you can do and the things that you have control over. So there's really only two options if you're dating a narcissist. One is that you can leave the relationship. And again, usually when this happens, right, that narcissistic person is not going to be able to handle that. They don't want the rejection. So you have to get prepared, mentally prepared, that it's going to get messy. They're going to make you the bad object. They're going to hate you, essentially. They're going to think you're the worst person in the world if you're going to leave the relationship. It's not usually going to be an amicable split. That's virtually impossible if you're dating a real narcissist. So, but that is an option for you. You can leave. That's absolutely your choice. You just have to prepare yourself for the messy split and kind of the hard road ahead, especially if you guys are married and have to divorce, or you have children and you're going to have to sort out the custody arrangements. Okay, that's going to be a battle, but it is an option, and there are many people out there that have successfully split from a narcissistic partner. The second option is that you're going to stay. Maybe you are financially tied to the person that you're with. Maybe you guys have a lot of shared assets, whether it's homes and cars and money and whatever. So it's not always easy to split. Maybe in your religion, or maybe you don't even believe in divorce. Whatever your reason is. There's a lot of people that choose to stay in the relationship with a narcissistic person. So if you are going to be doing that, which is absolutely your choice, you're going to be wanting to get the things that your husband, partner is not going to be able to give you. You want to get that from other people. So you're going to want to get that empathy from other people. You're going to want to get that, attention from family, friends, coworkers. You need to fill the void that you get in your relationship with your partner. You got to fill it elsewhere. So you have to be prepared to do that. And a lot of people are successful at this type of a thing. Whatever you're missing out of the relationship, whether it's validation, that respect, the, whatever it is, the signs that, the symptoms that they're unable to give you, you can get that elsewhere. And so if you're willing to do that, I think you'll actually be able to balance your relationship with a narcissistic person and be able to still feel fulfilled in the other aspects of your life, because you're going to be getting that from other people. A lot of clients say to me that they feel like they're just not good enough when they're in a relationship with a narcissist. And my heart goes out to them, and my heart goes out to you if you're feeling that way. I want to let you know that this is not about you. It is about them. So everything that you're feeling is because you're able to have that empathy and compassion, and you're impacted by their behaviors, and that affects you, right? So it's common for you to feel that your self-esteem is low. It's common for you to feel like you are less than when you're in a relationship with a narcissistic person. But it's not about you, okay? And I want to let you know that you are amazing and you have amazing traits. And just because your significant other or your partner isn't able to recognize that or see that or praise you for that doesn't mean that they're not there. So I don't want you to feel like you are less than. That is just a symptom of being in a relationship with a narcissistic person. So this is the last section of the video. If you have made it this far, awesome. Obviously, you really want to get these tips and tricks and figure out how to maneuver and manage being in a relationship with a narcissistic person. So let's focus this last segment on you and taking care of yourself in the relationship, because that's key and that's critical. And you need to know how to deal being in a relationship with a narcissist or dating a narcissist. So the first thing that you need to do, and I kind of touched on this earlier, is that you need to have other relationships with people outside of your relationship with your significant other. And this goes for any relationship out there, right? It's really healthy to do. You have to be able to have friends and family members and coworkers who you trust and you can go to. But you need to start mending to other relationships and fueling that and making other relationships, healthy and strong and connected as possible. Because again, you're going to be filling the void in that way that you're not getting through your significant other with other people. So start hanging out and spending time with other people and getting that self-care piece down. In addition to having relationships with other people and making those connections outside of your relationship, you're going to want to do hobbies. You're going to want to take care of yourself, So do activities that you enjoy. Get out there in the world and have fun. Get massages, meditate. You want to take care of your mind and your health, your physical health, as much as possible. Because the stronger you are, the more you feel good, the stronger you're going to be in your relationship and the better partner you're going to be, okay? So make sure that you get that self-care. That's really important. Also, it's not a bad idea to get into therapy, because you're going to have a lot of moments of frustration in your relationship. And you're going to need to have an outlet for that. You're going to need to have a space to get that out. And yeah, you can do that with your friends and your family, absolutely. But sometimes it's really good to have a professional who specializes in narcissism and understands what it's like for the partner to be in a narcissistic relationship, so they can give you more tools, more tips, more tricks on how to take care of yourself. I think therapy is so healthy for anybody, but especially if you're in a relationship with a narcissist. I have one last one.
Cool. Okay.
And last but not least, you want to manage your expectations that you have with a narcissist. Again, like I said, it's virtually impossible and really rare for that narcissistic person to all of a sudden see what they're doing is not working and take responsibility for their actions. So you're going to want to manage your expectations for them and understand that that person really just doesn't have the capacity or the capability to do certain things for you and do certain things in your relationship. So oftentimes just getting those expectations to be really clear for you and kind of bring them down a few notches can make it so where you're not as disappointed in your relationship because you're getting those expectations in other aspects of your relationship. I think, you're gonna obviously have good moments in your relationship, I'm hoping, or else you wouldn't be in one, right? But the things that aren't working for you, to really just understand that a narcissist can't give you what they don't have. So bring those expectations down, take care of yourself, get that fueled and get those connections somewhere else, and I think you'll be more satisfied in your relationship and less disappointed. So guys, that's everything I have of dating a narcissist. We covered the 13 signs of a narcissist. We answered some really important questions for people who are in relationships with a narcissist and how to manage it. And then we talked about how to take care of yourself in addition to understanding where narcissism comes from. So we've covered so much in this video. Please, if you learned something, if you enjoyed this video, smash the thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed to my YouTube page, please do so right now. Click on that subscribe button and click on that bell so you'll get a notification and a pop-up every time I create a new relationship video for you. I had such a good time talking to you about this topic. It's something I'm really passionate in. And please, again, if you have any questions or comments, leave that in the comment section below and I'll get back to you as soon as I can, like I always do. Again, this is Kristin from KristinCoaching.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm going to see you guys next time for my next video.